meeting is now being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. This is Lenita Hartman. Welcome to our Community of Practice call for the month of February. I hope everyone is doing okay today. We have kind of a small group. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Great. We are communicating via cell phone this morning. So if we have any technical difficulties, just go ahead and put it in the chat. So we want to talk about our objectives. Just to remind everyone, this call is really for you to learn from each other and gain information and support, and to celebrate successes and pose any questions that you may have or strategies that you figured out. Also benefit from information from the state team. And we do have Ashley Fernie with us today, and she's going to be talking with us here in a little bit about next steps with evaluation and assessment. Okay, so our agenda today is just to provide a few updates, and then we're going to move into the QIO, the Quality IFSP Outcome Assessment, and then you'll have an opportunity, as usual, to share what's happening within your community, and we'll give you a few dates that we have. So, hooray, everyone in Cohort 2 has completed the universal training. We had the last training for Cohort 2 last week with Envision. It was very well organized. The venue was great, so thank you, Jenny and Monica. And I know that Rocky Mountain Human Services had their first online webinar for providers who were not able to attend their universal training last evening, and it went really well. And I know they have 2 more scheduled. Beth Scully can't be on the call this morning, but she did share with me that it went very well, and she used the majority of the state modules for that training and then added in individualized CCB information. So if you're interested in doing that for your community, you might want to reach out to Beth Scully and ask her for pointers or suggestions of that. The universal training sections have all been recorded, and they are on a Padlet. You can see the link here up on your screen. And I'm going to turn it over to Wayla to walk you through that a little bit.
Okay, and we can send you this Padlet link also, so you can have it on your email after this call. But here's a screenshot of it. Basically, we just put some instructions about it. We have, at the top, we have this right here is the Universal Training Manual. And this has all of the handouts and everything in it. Okay, so Monica, sometimes when that happens, if people can just sign out and sign back in, sometimes that helps. Otherwise, we'll send you these slides.
You haven't missed anything. We're just showing you the Padlet.
And then we have the introductory video that we ask everybody to watch. And then we just have recorded the sections. So these are not professionally recorded or anything. We just recorded them on Zoom, but we have all of the sections separate. And I think we also put the PowerPoint on there, so you'll have the facilitator's notes as well. I don't see it on the screenshot, but I think it's on there. If not, we'll double check and add it.
So, is everyone seeing the Universal Training Padlet page on your screen now?
No, I'm not.
I just logged out too, so I'm trying to log back in. So.
Okay.
Is anyone seeing the Universal Training Padlet on their screen?
All I am seeing is the Go4IT Community of Practice COP call.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, well, we're going to see if we can get it to advance. Bear with us a moment.
I see it now. I did log out and just logged back in, and now it says Universal Training Tablet.
Okay.
So everyone's probably going to have to do
That might have to do that.
Okay, so let's pause for a moment so people can log out and log back in. I'm not sure why it's doing that, but it's going to be important, I think, that you see the forthcoming slides that Ashley's going to present. So we'll give you a moment to sign out.
I see it now too. This is Julie.
Great.
Great. How about you, Pat? Are you seeing it?
Okay, this is Pat. I just logged back in and I can see it now.
Okay. Well, Sally Force. Okay, Wayla, do you have more to say about that?
No, I don't think so. And I think you all know how to work the Padlet, but if not, just contact your team lead. We'll be happy to help you with that. If you run into any difficulties, please let us know. When we recorded these modules, these sections, we did say go ahead and pause your video so you can work on the activity. And at the beginning of each section, we said what handouts you're going to need, if you need what case studies, what handouts, and that sort of thing. So you can just print portions of this universal manual, or you can print the whole thing if you're planning to do the whole training for people. Okay?
Any questions with the Padlet, the training Padlet? So the only other thing we would say about this is intended for use by communities that have already been through their universal training. So please, keep that in mind in terms of sharing the link. It's really a resource for you. Okay, now we're going to turn it over to Ashley Fernie. I'm glad you could join us today, Ashley.
Hi everyone, Ashley Fernie here. So I'm going to talk about the QIO, the Quality IFSP's Outcomes Assessment Tool. We'll go over its intended use and purpose, talk about self-assessment versus verification, and I'll also give a sneak peek of the tool and go over expectations and timelines. So the purpose, to put it simply, is to assess IFSP quality in a standardized way. And to do that, we'll use self-assessment and verification. Self-assessment refers to the use of the QIO at the local program level, and that will allow CCBs to assess current level of quality, identify strengths and needs, implement improvement strategies, and identify areas that can support from technical assistance and training. And then verification refers to the use of the QIO at the state level. This will allow us to assess quality as an overall state and determine efficacy of the tool itself as well as outcomes. And it will also help with local status determination, so whether or not programs are meeting OSEP expectations relating to quality. Up to this point, we've only been assessing timelines, so this will allow us to assess quality as well.
So Ashley, the self-assessment piece and the IFSPs that the CCBs will be looking at will be the same ones that the state is looking at?
Correct. So there will be a sample that CCBs will assess, and then from that, the state will take a smaller sample of that sample to verify, just to make sure that we're seeing a good variance, that the scores aren't drastically different, and that will tell us that the school is working the way that we intend it to.
Great.
So next, we'll talk about timelines. From now until March 3rd, Cohort 1 is in Phase 2 of testing and feedback, and then we're also testing at the state and receiving feedback. And then we'll take a month to modify the tool based on the feedback and testing and try to have it finalized by March 20th. So Cohort 1 will start fully implementing the QIO March, April, and then we are hoping to have the QIO ready for Cohort 2 for you guys by May and June. So training and implementation will be dependent on your GO4IT rollout, and then we'll work together to infuse the QIO with a comfortable timeline. So expectations, who will conduct the QIO? It can be any staff who manages or oversees service coordinators, and then the EI Colorado state team will also be conducting QIO for verification. How will it be completed? We've created a web-based form, so you'll follow a link, complete the form, and then once it's submitted, it will automatically distribute to whoever submitted it, as well as the state team. How often will it be utilized? We're proposing monthly use to start out, but it will depend on factors like completion time and number of required assessments depending on the CCD size. How many QIOs should be completed? We don't have a solidified number or percentage yet. This will also depend on feedback and as we determine what an appropriate sample size is, we'll have a more solidified answer to that. When will the QIO roll out? Again, we're targeting for May, June for Cohort 2, but that's a tentative timeline that we'll assess once we get there. So next we have a preview. Scoring for the QIO is done using a 5-point analytic rating scale. So that's what the picture on the right, if you can see the screen, is showing. It outlines the format of the scale, and then the picture on the left is an actual example of what the assessment tool looks like. So you would check items that apply to the IFSP you're reviewing down each of those columns, and then click Calculate at the bottom. And then you would use those totals and then your own assessment of the IFSP content to select an overall section score. So you'll complete that for each section, and then at the end, an overall quality rating will be automatically calculated based on what you've already put in.
What are the 3 sections, Ashley?
It's on a 5-point scale. We have not acceptable, and then you can't see it, but you can see it in those columns, but you can select somewhat acceptable and emerging best practice if you selected items in multiple areas. So for example, if you've checked not acceptable and acceptable, in that case we wouldn't give a rating of acceptable if there's some not acceptable items checked. But if you have some in acceptable and some in best practice, then the overall might be emerging best practice.
So the 3 areas that we are assessing are the family assessment, right? And then global outcomes.
Family assessment, global outcomes, IFSP outcomes, and then the overall quality rating.
Right, and the feedback that we're receiving is that from Cohort 1, is this is really the piece that kind of pulls it all together in terms of all the training that we're doing, the technical assistance we're providing you, and outreach is really, oh, this is what they're looking for. That it's really, allowing you to look at IFSPs by individual service coordinator, providers, and you can get a sense really quickly of, oh, wow, this service coordinator is just a rock star when it comes to family assessment, but really needs some support moving that family assessment information into the creation of the IFSP outcomes, for example. So it gives you real-time feedback in a way that you can provide technical assistance on the spot if you wanted to. So Cohort 1 has been, really positive about it. We don't want you guys to get scared or overwhelmed. We're definitely going to ease into the assessment piece because we know that you're just in the very early stages of implementation if you're implementing at all. So we know that, but we want to give you this information early so you can be thinking about it.
And there will be training involved, so we have a manual to go along with the tool, and then we'll also record a web-based training so that you can continue to use that.
Any questions for Ashley about the tool or comments?
I think once we actually have it in our hands and start, looking at it, I can't really read that little lettering, but yeah, I think it sounds very interesting. This is Pat.
Pat, we'll send out the sample that we are sharing on the screen. We'll send it out so that you can actually read it, so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah, it's hard to see that little tiny picture up there.
My old eyes can't read those little letters.
Yeah, that's more showing the format than the actual content. I know it's hard to read, but we can send it out larger pictures.
Perfect.
What are the 3 areas again? You said family assessment, global outcomes, and IFSP outcomes. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And it includes concerns and priorities within that as well, within the family assessment.
Right. It really pulls them apart into, the various areas of quality that we would expect to see, and it has minimum requirements. So, for example, with family assessment, that you're stating what tool was even used, right? So if you're using the SAFER or the facets or the RBI, that you're indicating the tool that you're using, that you're getting a satisfaction rating, So there are basic, what we would consider non-negotiables, and then it goes up in quality from there.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or feedback about it? And we said that it's online and it's electronic, and so it does a lot of the calculation for you. So yeah, it's very easy to use.
Right. There's no math involved whatsoever.
Okay, so just a quick reminder, thank you to those that have sent your 3 global outcomes integration need assessments onto your EI team leads. If you have not yet done that, please do so. We shared it last month on our community of practice call. And if your community just had your universal training, if you can get that to me in the next couple of weeks, that would be great. Otherwise, please turn those into your team leads so that we can get a sense of how your community is feeling about the integration process. Okay, Laura?
Hi, everyone. Was there something else?
This is Pat. I sent it to Lanita. Should I send it to Wayla as well, or?
No, we got
send it and we're good. We'll find it.
Okay.
We get it.
Yeah. And if you have any
thank
questions about that, just feel free to contact your team lead and we can talk through it. Okay. This is Laura. Hello, everyone. So the next part, as in every community practice call, is we just want to hear a little bit about what you're doing in your community to move GO4IT forward. And Pat, I'm going to actually call you out because I'd love to hear a little bit about the retreat that you had, your provider training, and how you did with your IFSP reenactment. We've been really excited to hear some of the activities that are taking place in your communities. Cohort 2, really inventive. Okay, so Pat, could you share a little bit with us?
Yeah, we had, last Thursday we had a 6-hour retreat, and the biggest block of time was devoted to a mock IFSP, so that the providers could actually listen to Alicia and I do a family assessment together. Alicia was the service coordinator, and I was the parent. And we actually just took the case study of Roscoe that you had in the training because we thought, well, even if they look through that, they probably wouldn't remember, all the details of that case study. So rather than reinvent the wheel, we used that case study and changed things up just a little bit and didn't show the providers the information on the family assessment to refer back to because we thought in a real life situation they would just be listening to the conversation and doing their MISERS or Larimer County age anchoring tools, right on the spot. So that was what we were trying to stress to them that they would have to be doing moving forward. And, of course, we've already talked about this, but this was a little practice session for it, and I think it went pretty well. I mean, it was a lot of discussion afterwards, and our next speaker came in, so we weren't able to get to the global outcomes page or the, individual outcomes page, but we did get through the part where they were having to be active participants. So we've ingrained that into their psyches that they have to do a little preparation for IFSPs now and, kind of read through the evaluations and get as much information as they could from the evaluation report and kind of highlight if they're using the MISER or, even with the Larimer County, kind of have an idea where the child is on their charts and that sort of thing. And I think it was pretty beneficial for everybody involved because it kind of showed how the progression would go and what the conversation would sound like and that sort of thing. So
that's great. Then you can do part 2 with global outcomes and the IFSP outcomes. So that's really wonderful. I wanted to ask you a little bit, Pat, about the use of the MISER and how you're using it in your community. We're hearing a lot about how communities are using the MISER, and it sounded to me like you're using it for age anchoring. Are you also using it for part of your child assessment? Or was this
we've been calling it age anchoring, but, we really stressed at this training that we're not trying to get a level of delay. We already have that from the evaluation. We're just trying to use it to inform us on that decision tree. So that really made the providers a little bit more comfortable because they're like, oh, okay, well, we've been doing that all along on the COSOS. It's just different language that we're using instead of using numbers. And I think it made them feel a little bit more comfortable because, when you add something new in addition to what you're already doing, it's kind of daunting, and I think that's how everybody kind of felt, oh, these meetings are going to go on forever, and we have all this to accomplish, and when we put it to them that way, it seemed like, oh, okay, well, we've been doing this all along, so it's just a different time and place.
And Pat, this is Julie down in Colorado Springs. I have a question. If you're using the MISER cost just to help with the decision tree and the global outcomes, what are you all using then for age anchoring and finding their age equivalent?
Well, we've been kind of relying on the evaluations for that.
And at annuals?
We haven't gotten that far yet. We haven't gotten
and that's where we're finding the hurdle. is with the annuals how to use it for age anchoring.
So let me clarify a little bit. You can use the miser cost for age anchoring and to get age equivalencies by looking at where the child's skills are presenting and then the associated age range that's next to that skill. So there's two ways you can use the miser cost. One, it's real easy to just take a scan and look at, is the child using foundational, immediate foundational, or age expected skills in each outcome, and what does that look like? But you also can see where the child's skills are in alignment with the age range that's over on that first right-hand column. So Julie, maybe we can talk a little bit more about how we can support you in the use of the miser and what.
And that would be great. Yeah.
Because it does age anchor as well.
And my team is just finding that difficult. So later, when we have an opportunity, asking other cohorts in Cohort 1 who's using it and how would be great too.
Okay, great. So maybe just to talk through the process and how you get from recording the information from the family assessment on the miser to aging.
Great,
Okay.
yes.
Would it be helpful if we did, as part of one of our community of practice calls, a mini miser cost tutorial? Is that something you're interested in?
Yeah. I don't think it would hurt.
Because we definitely could do that, just a shortened version, and kind of how you move from recording to age anchoring.
That might be helpful.
Yeah, that
Okay,
might
well,
be good.
We can plan on that.
Yeah, we absolutely can.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, Julie, anything new? What you've been doing some pretty cool stuff in your community. What else is happening?
Well, in January, all the communities, because we're in 4 areas just that are starting to do the GO4IT within El Paso County and then Park and Teller County. And I think so there's people in different places for sure. We are starting with all annuals and all new IFSPs, and so the challenges have been more with the annuals on the age anchoring, because with the evaluation we get the age anchoring information. I've met with District 20 Friday to help the evaluators understand our need for greater information in all 5 areas as they evaluate it, because they look at them, but they haven't been giving us as strong information unless it's been in the areas of concern.
So that's been hard for you with the family assessment.
It's been very hard, again, because it's hard to get the age anchoring and people feel that they haven't gotten much information in the other areas of development, so they want to ask more questions on the miser costs than
Which
they should
actually
need to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been doing, and then the implementation team is meeting next Thursday as to update everyone on how it's going.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Julie. Anything else?
I don't think so. There's always a little pushback. Nobody likes change. Nobody likes anything different. When we went to the help, they didn't like doing that, and so doing the miser costs are not, it's different.
Yeah.
But it's going.
Definitely. Change is hard. Yes, that is true. Okay, who else do we have on the call today? Monica? You
Yes.
just had your training. Anything you'd like to share?
I think, Lanita mentioned it earlier, but I think it went really well. It's always hard to pull off, and it's always hard to get everything organized. But in general, I thought it went really well, and I thought we had a pretty good turnout. I was pretty proud of that. And now, kind of where we're at right now is we're meeting with our implementation team next week, and we will have a formal process, that we're going to be able to roll out and be able to share with people and just take that first step in doing this.
Great. Jenny, anything you'd like to add?
No, I felt that it went, the meeting was a success. I was really happy with the turnout and just eager to meet with our implementation team and kind of review the meeting, the universal training, and get some dates set into place to really just start digging into it.
Great.
So we did talk about with Envision, because I know you guys have really struggled with interest and participation from Child Find, which has also been a challenge for other folks across the state. And I do have to say it was really impressive that Child Find showed up. They participated, they stayed all day, they seemed engaged, and so I think that was a win for your community because that was unexpected.
It really was, and not just one member from each Child Find team. I mean, there was multiple members there from each team, and so I think that was really helpful.
That's great.
6 Child Find teams were there, so yeah, it was great.
Wow. That's wonderful. How many people did you have all together? A lot, right?
Around 100.
Yeah, I think, Jenny, how many initially registered? Like 107, something like that is initially registered, and I counted 93, but, so I think it was pretty good.
That's wonderful. That's really good that you got such a wide turnout. Anyone else that we've missed that might just have called in? Anyone here from Rocky Mountain? Oh, we know Beth was not going to be able to join us. Star Point? Blue Peak? Okay. All right. Anything else that you guys would like to share before we move on?
Or questions that you might have for the group?
Or things you're like, as you're moving forward, you're like, we really would like more information on this. We've kind of identified the miser as a possible opportunity for some more professional development. Is there anything else that we should be thinking about?
And then I guess the other question, this is Julie again in Colorado Springs, is what tools, if any, are people using as ongoing assessments?
Okay. All right.
Is one question my team has. Okay.
Okay. Because we'll talk about that a little bit more, Julie.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So we move on to upcoming GO4IT dates. So the QIO training is targeted, that Ashley talked about, is targeted for May or June. And you're thinking, what is the prospective format for that, Ashley?
We'll have a online recorded webinar type training as well as a manual to use.
Okay, great. And then we have our next community of practice call on Thursday, March 16th at our normal time, 11:30 to 12:30. Which cohorts are going to be on that call? Just Cohort 2. So just you guys again. We'll touch in bases with you and see what has happened in the month before that.
Yeah, and then in April, we'll have Cohort 1 join us again, as well as Cohort 3. It'll be their first community of practice call, and then they will be, they'll be joining us, and we'll be moving you guys to an every other month format. So you can see up here what the schedule is here. So we'll have our community of practice call in April, and then your next call would be June. Now, that being said, you're certainly welcome to jump on Cohort 3's community of practice call, knowing that they are going to be traveling a little bit behind where you guys are, but you're certainly welcome to do that. Also, if you feel that you need additional support or calls, we can certainly schedule those. So we can play that by ear. Anything else you'd like to share today or discuss? Okay, well, that was a quick call today, but we are really glad that you joined us. We were short a few communities. I know that people are attending the telehealth training, and so some people might be driving and otherwise committed. But we look forward to hearing from you in March, and if you have any questions between now and then, feel free to contact your state lead, and we will send out a sample of the QIO so you can get a closer look at it and some of the categories and start wrapping your minds around that a little bit. And the Padlet link. Okay, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.